The dusty streets of Cedar Ridge fell silent. A young boy, no more than 8, stood trembling with a rope around his neck, condemned for stealing bread. The crowd wanted justice, but justice looked more like vengeance that day. Then one man stepped forward. His voice cut through the air. "Leave the child. Take me instead." In that instant, the world seemed to stop. The marshal's hand froze on his pistol. Mothers held their breath. Even the wind went still. Who was this stranger? And why would he risk his life for a child he didn't even know? Before we dive deeper into this powerful Wild West story of mercy, courage, and sacrifice, take a moment to hit like if this moved you, subscribe if you love true heartwarming Western tales, and share this story with someone who believes compassion is stronger than fear. It helps this channel grow and lets us keep telling stories that matter. The town of Cedar Ridge gathered in the square, their eyes fixed on a small figure standing near the gallows. A boy, thin and weary, his dark eyes steady despite the fear rising in his chest. Around his neck, a rope hung loose but ready. He was accused of stealing bread, his third offense. Under the town's new law, even children were not spared the rope. The crowd murmured, some demanding order, others uneasy. Mothers pulled their children close as if shielding them from the sight. And there he stood, Joseph Two Crows, only 8 years old, about to pay with his life for hunger. Then, through the dusty silence, boots echoed on the wooden boards. A tall stranger stepped forward. His voice carried calm, but weight. "Leave the child. Take me instead." The words fell like thunder. The marshal froze, his hand resting on his pistol. The mayor sputtered in disbelief. The crowd itself went still, as though time had been suspended. Who was this man, offering his own life for a child not his own? And what past did he carry that made him willing to face death so readily? The marshal narrowed his eyes at the stranger. "You can't be serious," he said, his voice low but sharp. The man didn't flinch. He simply turned his wrists outward, ready for shackles. The townsfolk exchanged nervous glances. This was no ordinary drifter. The mayor's face burned red with anger. "The law is the law," he barked. "Theft is punishable by hanging. Age doesn't change that." But the stranger, Jack Thornton, met his fury with steady calm. "Then maybe it's the law that needs changing." His hand brushed aside his coat, revealing a worn Texas Ranger badge still pinned to his chest. Gasps rippled through the crowd. A ranger, or at least one who had been. That carried weight. Jack's voice carried over the silence. "That boy is hungry, and hunger makes thieves out of the innocent. If blood is what you need, take mine. I've got sins enough for a noose." The crowd shifted. Some nodded, their hearts stirred by the man's courage. Others scowled, clinging to the rigid promise of order. For the first time, the marshal's jaw tightened with doubt. Justice or mercy? The town waited, breathless, for which side he would choose. The marshal's answer never came. A low rumble rose on the horizon, faint at first, then thundering like a storm. The townsfolk turned, eyes wide, as a cloud of dust swelled at the edge of Cedar Ridge. Horses, dozens of them. Within moments, 12 riders charged into the square, their faces marked with war paint, their eyes burning with fury. The crowd scattered, mothers pulling children away, men reaching for guns they didn't carry to a hanging. At their lead was a warrior with streaks of silver in his hair. He dismounted slowly, scanning the scene until his gaze locked on the boy with the rope around his neck. His voice, deep and steady, broke the stunned silence. "My grandson," he said in perfect English. "Release him." Whispers rippled through the crowd. This was no raiding party, it was Chief Two Crows himself. The mayor stammered, clinging to his pride. "He was caught stealing. Our law is clear." Two Crows' eyes were ice. "Your law, not ours." He looked at Jack, still standing tall by the gallows. "You offered to die for him." "Why?" Jack's reply was simple, but it struck like an arrow. "Doesn't need to be my blood." The square bristled with tension. The Comanche riders outnumbered the town's men, and yet the law still weighed heavy on the gallows. Chief Two Crows warriors circled like shadows, their painted faces unreadable. The marshal's hand hovered near his pistol, though his eyes betrayed hesitation. Jack stepped forward, his voice steady, but urgent. "There's another way. Let the boy come with me. I'll teach him a trade, give him honest work. He can visit his people, live between both worlds. No rope, no blood." The crowd stirred uneasily. Some muttered in agreement. Others clung to the mayor's words of law and order. Murdoch, the store owner, spat. "A thief is a thief. You'd trust him in your home?" Jack's gaze burned back. "Better a boy learns mercy now than grows into a man who knows only vengeance." The chief studied Jack carefully. Then, to everyone's surprise, young Joseph finally spoke. His English was broken but clear. "Starving worse than stealing." His words cut sharper than any blade, and murmurs rippled through the crowd. Two Crows laid a hand on the boy's shoulder. "He wishes to learn from you," he told Jack. "Perhaps the bridge begins here." The rope was cut, and the boy stepped free. Gasps swept through the square as the impossible became real. Joseph Two Crows walked into Jack's care, his small frame dwarfed by the man who had just risked everything for him. From that day on, Cedar Ridge began to change. Jack stayed, opening a leather shop. Joseph worked at his side, his quick hands learning the trade while Father Miguel taught him to read and write. At first, prejudice lingered, cold stares, whispered insults. But over time, the boy's courage and kindness silenced doubters more surely than fists ever could. Years passed. The boy grew tall, fluent in two worlds. By his 13th birthday, both Comanche warriors and townsfolk gathered to honor him. Even the marshal, once rigid with law, handed him a deputy's badge. It was a symbol of trust and of a future no one thought possible. The gallows were torn down. In their place, a school rose open to all children. And the story of the man who once said, "Take me instead," lived on, not as legend alone, but as proof that mercy can change the course of history. And that is the story of Jack Thornton and Joseph Two Crows. A reminder that sometimes courage isn't taught in the gun you carry, but in the mercy you choose. If this tale moved you, hit that like button, subscribe for more heartwarming Wild West stories, and share it with someone who believes compassion is stronger than fear.